1988.
4/14/1988. Okay. What's your favorite color? Just kidding.
I like red
I'm
and
kidding.
purple. Purple's my daughter's birthstone.
Are there any press that's going to be here?
I was told the Star Tribune would be here.
Fox is right there.
Okay.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Theo.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Can everybody hear okay at this?
Yeah.
Should I start? Good afternoon and welcome. I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. It means a great deal to me that you are here. I am Danielle Stella. I am a loving mother, a special children's educator who specializes in special education needs, mostly autism. I'm a community volunteer, a public servant, and a concerned citizen. I am a conservative running to represent Minnesota's 5th Congressional District in 2020. I did not hold prior aspirations to run for political office. However, due to our current representative's radical and far-left ideology, hateful rhetoric, anti-Semitism, and despicable lack of respect for the brave men and women who risk their lives daily to keep Americans safe, I felt it was time to stand up. It is time to stand up for the forgotten citizens. It is time to stand up for every single American that lives in our district. Every Minnesotan deserves a voice. Regardless of our similarities, regardless of our differences, we deserve to be represented collectively. This is not happening. That did not happen over the past 18 months. It is time for members of Congress to stop the increasing partisanship and remember why they were voted into office. They were elected to serve the citizens of our country, not their own personal agendas. The success of our nation, of our state, and our district comes first and foremost. Legislators should give an honest effort to work with the executive branch regardless of who is in the Oval Office. At the very least, a member of Congress, nay, an American, should not publicly and proudly declare themselves the biggest nemesis of the President of the United States of America. That is not how unity is achieved. I stand before you today to pledge that I will represent every single American in our great district, regardless of our differences in race, gender, social status, communities, religious beliefs, and even differences in party affiliations. Everyone deserves equal representation in Congress. That is not happening. That did not happen over the past 18 months. I stand by the rights afforded to each American under the Constitution of the United States of America. Unfortunately, these fundamental rights are under attack. Big tech and social media giants decided they should choose the information we are presented. American voices are suppressed daily. By definition, this is information warfare, and it should not be happening on American soil. Harassment, confrontation, and violence are now commonplace against Americans who think differently than far-left activists. The acceptance of vocal and physical confrontation is a travesty. We must stand up and protect our constitutional rights to free speech and the right to assemble without the fear or threat of violence. I believe as a community, as a collective society, we need to protect one another. We need to stand together and remain united. Some members of Congress would rather see us divided. When we are divided, people in power retain control. I am truly reaching out to all sides. I'm reaching out to all conservatives, moderates, libertarians, independents, and yes, even liberals. I do not believe the radical and far-left ideology that Representative Omar asserts represents every Democrat in District 5. I do believe most Americans disagree with Omar's constant hateful rhetoric and anti-Semitism. More so, I know that the citizens in our district care whether or not our elected officials commit federal crimes and are not be held accountable to the same standards as everyone else. No one is above law. I know I have a long journey ahead of me. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it is going to be a challenge. However, it is a challenge worth taking. I know it is time to stand up and take action. I want to continue to serve the people in our state, the state and district that I love. I look forward to talking with members of all communities. I look forward to being open and honest with the members of the press. And I look forward to representing the Minnesotans of District 5. Thank you, and I wish you a happy early Independence Day.
What do you mention you're reaching out to all sides? What are you doing in that regard here in your campaign since you launched, which was not that long ago, right?
I'm just getting started in the campaign. I'm reaching out to different leaders in different religious communities in District 5, members of church, a pastor over in North Minneapolis. I'm working with him about the needs that they have in North Minneapolis and their concerns. I've been invited to attend a mosque by a conservative Republican of the Islam belief, and he's invited me to come listen to their concerns. As far as the other political parties, I will be reaching out to the younger generations who typically always vote liberals. I'm a millennial myself, and I think it's important to have this message with our college-age children, teens as well.
If you're elected, what's your top priority? What legislation would be your top priority?
My top priority is to put the needs of our veterans first. This is why I decided to run. Right now we're losing 22 heroic veterans a day here in America, and it's not due to war. It is not due to an injury from war. We're losing our veterans after they've survived a war. They came back here and we're failing them greatly. We're not giving them the support and the services that they need. We should not have veterans homeless. We should not have veterans hungry. We should not have veterans unable to seek help for PTSD.
What would be your, as far as PTSD or homelessness, that's one you mentioned, what would be an idea that you have to solve that issue? It's a big issue.
I think we need to have a reform of the VA. I think we need to have we need to be listening to the veterans who receive care at the VA. We do not need to be taking a politician's word for it, such as AOC in New York, who claims that they have the best medical care available in America. It's not true. And I think veterans who served our country have the right to have their voice heard equally.
It's been years and years and years since somebody from the Republican Party has contended in the district that you're running in. What gives you the sense that you'll be different in that way?
I trust myself. The reason I chose to get involved, I reached out to other Republicans to see what we can do, and I didn't get a response. And I am willing to endure attacks, personal attacks, name calling. I am a very fierce young lady. I was a survivor of attempted murder in 2008 and repeated harassment and stalking. I have made it through that to become the young lady I am now, and I will use the same strength and resiliency to fight for this district. I do not want socialism to take over. I don't want the hate of America to take over. I don't want what happened in St. Louis Park with the banning of the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't want to see that. I want pride in our country, and I'm grateful to be an American, and I'm grateful for everything this country has given me.
Is there one action of Representative Omar, since she's taken office, that made you say, yep, I'm gonna take her on and run this?
9/11. Her comments on 9/11. Some people did something.
She says she was misquoted on that. Do you believe that?
In the frame with all of her other comments that she's made, how she referred to the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993, and she said that our Americans were the bad guys when they were killed going over to rescue people and bring them food. Our American soldiers were killed and dragged behind trucks. And it seems like Representative Ilhan Omar always sides against any other country that's not the United States. And somebody who's in office should not proudly say, I'm Donald Trump's biggest nemesis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You and I showed you a couple of pictures today.
Yes.
Did you want to talk about that at all, or have any on the record
Yes.
to address some of those photos and maybe talk about your modeling career prior to this?
I did do modeling back in 2010, 2011, and a little bit into 2012. I did some photo shoots to be able to have a little bit of income coming in when I chose to go back to school to take care of my day-to-day expenses while attending school full-time. And then I went into promotional modeling and would represent brands, and people will say, well, that's just very easy, you just stand there and look pretty. But with the brand ambassador work, you actually have to do research, and you get to do some really cool opportunities. Like I was able to throw an event for the TED Talks, and that was something very special to me. I would have never been able to have the opportunity to attend something like that before. And now I have not modeled for over 5 years, and that is in the past. Some people have shared the pictures.
A lot of people have, and I would just be prepared for attacks regarding those. Who's your top 3 donors?
We are just getting started. Our website launched last week. I haven't been closely following what's going on with the donations. I think we just reached the $1,000 threshold yesterday, and I was told our biggest donor was a veterinarian, and I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose her name, but she was our biggest donor so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of have a question. So how do you plan to reach like the college age, high school age students? And I could be of help. I work for Turning Point USA. Have you ever heard of that before?
I would appreciate any help. that you
Yeah, and I would
have.
like to help you, and reach our values more so, not on a candidate level, but you can get students to reach the values, I think.
Because our younger generation is what our future is. And I see some of our younger generation right here, and that's inspiring to me. When President Trump announced his candidacy for running for president, in my personal peer group, very little people were brave enough to say in our peer group, I support our president. And they endured so much bullying and hatred, and they stayed strong. And something like that spoke to me, and I want to make everybody be able to feel safe and welcomed. And I love all generations. I learned things from people younger than me, and I learned things from people older than me. I don't have all the answers, and that is why my campaign is making sure everybody feels like they have the ability to talk to me, feel heard, share their concerns, and have it that I would love to work with you.
Awesome.
And I see you're being represented by Winthrop and Weinstein. Is that right?
We were referred to them for help with filing with the FEC.
Okay.
We don't have anybody maintained on staff as a lawyer. Our current campaign staff includes myself and somebody named Randall, and he is in charge of he's the senior political analyst for my campaign, and he's the one that created our website. He is, he's current military, and he'll be retiring later this year, and he has over 20 years in the service, and I really respect him. And then my campaign director is Jody, and she is a businesswoman, and those are my 2 people that are on my team, and we're looking to expand. We're looking to include everybody.
Are you a little weirded out they're not with you today for support? Because I am. I'm completely weirded out you're alone today. Is that normal? I don't. didn't bear with me.
I know that they both really wanted to be here. Randall, his daughter, is going to college, and he wants to prepare her for college. And as a parent, that's something that I respect. Your children should come before my needs. And
I get that,
Joni's-
but my concern for you is there are 4 or 5 people in this room, and if you're going up against Omar, I'm worried for you.
I think part of it is the timing of it. A lot of people, they're working during this time. And I know that people were interested in coming, but not when they're at work. Everybody can't take off of work to come. And I think it does show that I am confident myself. I feel safe. And whether it's 4 people or 400 people, I'm prepared, and we're going to an event this weekend in Washington, D.C., and we've been receiving threats about this event from Antifa throwing acid into our faces. Because I'm speaking with other conservative voices, and they are making threats that they're going to blind us.
Has that ever happened to you?
I've never interacted with Antifa before.
Okay, so you've never been acid or on you? Or,
No.
Okay.
I've been a survivor of attempted murder and a brutal attack.
I have a question for you. I know a lot of people in the Republican Party and other political associations, and the general consensus is that we have no idea who you are. It's like you literally just came out of thin air, and having over probably 500 not direct contacts with people, but extended contacts, no one knows who you are. And so that's really curious for us, how you all of a sudden just dropped into this campaign or this race against Omar, and no one knows who you are. It's a concern for us.
So maybe could you go through like your, when you were a kid, where'd you grow up, and
Yes.
schools and high schools?
I would like to address your question first.
Perfect.
I am a little bit concerned that people these days don't think that you're a real person if you don't have a Facebook account. That is not a very good reflection upon society, that if somebody is not on Facebook, they're not a real person. I have lived in Minnesota since 2000. I have people on my Facebook page who have openly said, I went to high school with Danielle. She has had these same values that she's sharing now since 2000 to 2006 when we graduated together. I have people who have attended college in different college universities who said, I know Danielle, this is how I know Danielle, this is what I know about her. I have relatives who do not live in Minnesota, they live in Illinois, and they're well respected in their community. They are homicide detectives, and they have come out and said they stand behind me and what I stand for. I did not have Facebook. The reason I did not have Facebook is because of the attempted murder on my life, and he received a short sentence for the attempted murder with an attack on a peace officer, putting the police officer in the hospital as well when he was arrested. This individual served less than a year in prison for his crime. He got out and he found me at my new address and harmed me again. This pattern of behavior continued over 4 years. I had a very intense talk with detectives and said, how is he still able to find me? He was finding me when he was in prison, when I had a domestic abuse no contact order, which is ordered by a judge. He still would find information. I switched colleges. I switched my address many, many times from different city. I didn't disclose my address. I didn't give up my new phone number when I changed it. He still was able to find that information. Who I was befriending at my new college. What was I studying at my college? Who was I hanging out with outside of college? What was I doing for work? Where was I working at? And he would write horrible letters to me from prison and say, don't even bother to tell the judge about this. I'll only get 1 more month added to my sentence anyways, and I'll be out soon enough, and then this will all get dealt with. So when I talked to the detectives about how am I being found, they said that there's a service where people can pay $7 a month and find out any and everything that they can find. They pay $7, they can find your address, they can find your social media accounts. He was posting pictures that I was only sharing on Facebook. So I made the decision not to have Facebook. I did have a Twitter account that I still have. I have had the Twitter account for almost 10 years. In September it would be 10 years. I made a new Twitter account for the campaign strictly because I don't want to have to hide every personal thing about myself from people who are going to try to find what do I care about most, which is my daughter. And I don't want people to exploit that and try to put her into harm's way. I've been receiving threats from local Republicans about my life, and I don't want that for my daughter. I want to protect her and keep her safe as my top priority. And I've had the Twitter, I've had Instagram, my daughter and I have Snapchat, and I've talked with people in real life throughout this whole time. It's not like I became a hermit and didn't talk to anybody. But I enrolled in the Safe at Home program through the Secretary of State, which is an address confidentiality program. But I've been here, I just have not been on Facebook.
I have a question. Was this attack, was that committed here in the state of Minnesota?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
That happened January 12th of 2008.
And so you grew up in this.
I spent my early years in Illinois. I was born in a small little town in Illinois called Freeport. It's really, really small. Like, I think their sign that says how many people are living in this town was like 1,000. But I spent most of my time with my grandparents who live in Chicago. And my grandpa, his name is Papa, but he is a veteran and he just celebrated his 90th birthday a few months ago. And he taught me how important it is to take pride in our country and respect our flag and what sacrifices men and women have made for us to be safe. And we moved here right before I started high school. And I went to high school here.
What high school did you go to?
Rosemont.
Okay. Okay.
Another small town.
Nothing small.
But I've been living in this district for most of the 10 years. There was about a 2-year period where I lived in Brooklyn Park. Not a very good experience.
What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be?
I'm learning each day what the biggest challenge is going to be, because when I went into this, I was expecting all these attacks strictly from the left. I wasn't expecting that I couldn't trust Republicans in this party. I wasn't aware that if I shared my personal story with other candidates or other well-respected Republicans at events, that they would then go online and share my personal story as a way to discredit me or call me a bad person. So that was my mistake. But I know how the left behaves and how they silence voices that they don't agree with, and I don't believe in caving into any type of bullying. I don't believe in they can call me whatever name they want to call me. It might hurt my feelings, but I'm going to power through it. People have called me names before.
Have you been in touch with any local Tea Party groups or any county or county Republican offices, any way to just kind of get your name out there more?
There was a lady that I met at the Trump Leadership Initiative training conference. I believe it was like, not last Monday, but Monday prior.
2 weeks ago.
2 Mondays ago. And she said that she had information about what I was doing, and she invited me to come speak at their event in August. So I'm going to be following up with her, and I've been working with the Republicans in Minnesota District 5. I went to the official candidate meeting last Wednesday, and there's some declared candidates, some are thinking about it, but we talked about the process of endorsement. But the next step is, we had other people at the meeting as well. The president of the Minnesota chapter of the NRCC and Big Ten Republicans were there as well. But any help is what I'm going to be seeking.
Danielle, I have a question. So have you been married?
I've never been married.
Okay, so for clarity, is your last name Sheridan or Stella?
I go by Stella because I have had the problems with my safety.
Okay.
With this guy who keeps following me and actively trying to hurt me. And that my mother, she told me not to use her name anymore, and she told me that over 11 years ago after everything. So
Okay.
I go by a different name.
Okay.
Are you free from him, I hope?
I have a 50-year order for protection that says if he contacts me online or third party or comes to my work or comes to anywhere I volunteer at the hospital programs, or if he comes within 2 city blocks of me, he'll go to jail. But at the end of the day, that's a paper. And the best way to be proactive is to avoid those situations. And I've had people say, Danielle, you shouldn't be running for office. You're putting a target on your back. Well, why should I let that man dictate anything I do for the rest of my life? He's tried to hurt me. He doesn't get to win. And I also believe in the Second Amendment and the right to defend myself.
Do you have a permit to carry?
I am working on getting it recertified. I took the training back in 2014. I had thought up until that point, why do I need to know how to do this? And I respected it, but personally I didn't feel like it was needed for me.
Sure.
And now I feel like, go women. You guys we can be moms. We can do all sorts of things. We don't need somebody else to be there for us. And for the people who say they don't support the Second Amendment, what do they do in an emergency? They call 911 because the police have a gun. And even though they have the intent to help everybody, they can't always get there in time. Not because they don't want to.
So you are working on getting your permit to carry, gotcha.
Yes.
Or certified.
And to have it in other districts. And like, if I want to go to another state, because we don't have a reciprocity in every state.
Okay. And what's your plan in Washington this weekend?
I will be attending the Freedom Rally, which is on July 6th. So it's going to be, we're walking in the rally to say that we stand up for everybody's free speech. People are misinterpreting the event and saying we're only defending conservatives who have been silenced. Yes, mostly it has been conservatives being silenced, but we're standing up for everybody's right for freedom of speech. And then later on, there's a VIP event with other speakers who are all giving speeches, and I'll be giving a speech as well.
And are you going there on your own dollar, or was that donated?
I was invited to speak at the very beginning of June by somebody who is the founder of Stop Hate, and it's a movement he's been working on throughout America. He goes to different places each month. He's been in LA, he's been in Texas, and he wants to stop the bullying, the hatred, the name calling.
So Stop Hate is paying for you to be out
Yes.
in Washington, D.C.? Okay.
They're paying for the trip, the flight, and everything.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous about the plane.
Have you never flown before?
I've flown
okay.
but
Wow.
both recently, like before when I flew on the plane, we didn't hear about on the news planes falling down out of the sky, so I'm a little bit nervous about that.
Danielle, how do you plan to do your fundraising? How do you plan to fund this campaign?
I'm working on the fundraising now, and then there's specific goals that were given to us, the actual numbers were given to us in the official candidate meeting last week, saying this is what they expect from a candidate for them to match or to put their own money from the Minnesota GOP into it or the NRCC into it. So I'm just getting a head start on everything now because we're going to need all the effort we can do. Every day counts when we're facing not only Ilhan Omar, but we're facing the whole crew of those Justice Democrats who have already come out and been re-endorsed for next year, and she already has over $1 million in her fundraising for her re-election. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be an uphill battle, especially in this district.
Did the Minnesota GOP and the NRCC, did they make a financial commitment to you at this point?
No.
Okay.
Right now they're remaining neutral, and they will not decide who is the endorsed candidate until March of next year. But they told us what is expected of us. They had us talk to them and say where we're at with it. Will we respect whoever is the endorsed candidate? If it's not us, will we respect it? And I said, yes, I will respect it, but I would hope that the endorsed candidate will also be a supporter of our president. That's important to me. I think that we have people on both sides of the political party who are not respecting him. They're refusing to work with him. And then he has been receiving so much hate and bias from politicians, from the media, from everyday citizens, and it's something I've never seen before in my life.
Mm-hmm. Who did you hire to do your website?
Randall did it, and he did the website design pro bono for us because he said he believes in what I'm doing and the cause.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch his last name.
Blakesley.
Randall Blakesley. Okay, thank you.
I'm not good at computer design or figuring that out myself, so I needed help. And he did a fantastic job. We're adding more to it too. We had a conference yesterday to talk about some expanded positions that I have, so that should be up live in the next few days.
So when you're in DC, do you plan to make contacts out there that would be helpful for your candidacy, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are some people who are already going to be meeting with me because the event is on the 6th and the 7th, but we're going to have some extra time while there. And since PTSD is a cause that I support, not only for veterans, but for everybody who experiences PTSD, I want to reduce the stigma. I want to teach society how things are not set up to help people with PTSD. And I don't think that people are willfully triggering people's PTSD, but they are, and it's little tiny things that everybody can do to make the world a little bit easier for those of us who suffer with PTSD. And there's a lady who read that I am concerned, why are veterans being forced to pay $22,000 to $25,000 out of pocket for a service dog for PTSD? And she raises these service dogs and she trains them, and so she wants to meet with me and have me meet the dogs to work on setting up something so that it's more readily accessible for those with PTSD.
Okay.
Her name is Carolyn.
I just have one other question. And what made you run? Was it one thing, 10 things?
It was a lot of things. I was
When did
getting
it start?
really frustrated, like, what is going on in our district? Why are there people living in 10 cities? Why are people saying, I don't want to see that on the way to work? It looks bad. Those are human beings that are living in a tent. I've been homeless myself, and it's scary to not have a place to call home. There's children that don't have a home. There's veterans who don't have a home. That concerned me. Then the veterans concerned me. The increase in crime has concerned me as well. I know that the Mall of America isn't in our district, but it's very close, and it happened 2 days before my birthday when Landon was thrown, and my heart broke because I didn't know if he was going to make it. And even now, they came out last week and said he's had setbacks and they don't know when he's going to go home. And I volunteered in the hospitals. I helped create a program for traumatic brain injuries, and it's through the Alina hospital system. So when I saw that, and then I was trying to reach out about veterans and trying to reach out about what is she actually doing for our district. It feels like she bamboozled some people into voting for her, went off to DC, and only came back, from what I've paid attention to, I've only seen her come back for the Pride Festival, and I've only seen her on the local level fight for Amazon workers. I don't see her maintaining focus in this district. She passed a bill about school lunch shaming. That's not actually fighting anything about the kids that go hungry on nights, weekends. It's important to not shame kids for being in that program, but we need to actually take action, and we need to be using our resources. She wants to defund the Department of Homeland Security. She wants to abolish ICE. She wants to have more people come in here when we're not even meeting the needs of the men and women and children who were born here and deserve to have help. And she makes horrible comments about conservatives online. I'm a pro-life woman. She says that conservatives, we don't really care about babies, that we're just hypocrites. And that's not right. So it's a lot of things, and instead of just getting mad, I was getting really mad, and then I was like, I got to do something.
Were you at benefits and fundraisers, and prior to them, like in 2017 and 18, were you active in any benefits fundraisers for anybody else? Or
For veterans.
For veterans. So did you go to veteran functions, or?
I'm active with veterans in the community, so that's who, obviously I had help from
Grandpa, maybe?
well, yeah, but after the assault, I had help from doctors and surgeons who saw this, that was wrong, but the story I had, I didn't feel safe sharing it with people, and the people who listened to me without judgment and told me they understand and that I'm strong, I didn't do anything wrong, it's not my fault that this happened. that was who was there. Veterans were there, and they've been in my life every day since then.
I have a question. Do you have a problem with Ilhan Omar swearing in on the Quran, taking her oath of office?
I do.
Okay.
And it's not because I'm Islamophobic. It's because she doesn't seem to respect her own word. And she's being attacked by members of her own religion online. I see this, and I've had people reach out to our campaign Twitter saying, we've had Somalian refugees reach out to us and say, please let everybody know in America, we're not all this way. We are grateful that when we came to America, we got help from your guys' government, but we also got help from the Jewish charities, we got help from the Catholic charities, and we are grateful. We don't stand by her hate speech. Members that are Muslim have reached out and said they don't agree with her, and she is saying that she is fighting to stand up for LGBTQ people. However, they are already protected in our state, and they've already been protected since 1993. So for her to say that she supports them, she's only angry. She's in kind of won over their support, but by doing so, she's lost the respect of her religion by doing so.
How do you plan on winning against Ilhan Omar? Do you think you're going to win?
I'm determined to give my very best effort, and I'm a stubborn young woman. As my papa would tell you if he was here today, as a little kid, I decided I want to read, and I didn't want to wait to go to school, so I taught myself to read when I was 3, and I didn't stop. So when I make my mind up to something, I won't let go, I won't give up, and I fight for it. Am I being disillusional about the reality of it? No. I know that she has powerful funders behind her. I know that she has the name recognition. But I need to at least give my full effort, because if I don't do something, she will continue to represent this district, and her behavior will spread to other districts and throughout America. And we cannot let what happened to other countries happen here.
So those things that you just said, how do you plan to overcome those obstacles?
I need to be not only thinking about what my values are, what my personal goals are, but I need to be reaching out to everybody. And I need to be working with other groups, other races, other religions, and hearing what their concerns are. I need to be talking to people who are not in the same area of Minneapolis I am. I need to be talking to people who live in different neighborhoods and say, what is your number one concern? What do you want to see happen? Because a lot of people who have always voted Democrat have said they aren't getting their needs met. An example of that is the Black community. They said that they've always voted Democrat, but they're not getting any help from Ilhan Omar. They're not having anybody help with the gang violence. They're not having anybody help with their relations with the law enforcement over in North Minneapolis. They have concerns too, and they have just as much right as I do to have their voice heard. And maybe not everybody wants to put themselves under a microscope and have people analyze them and say, you look like you're 12, or where were you born, and all these things. I'm willing to have people be mean to me because I believe that there's a reason I'm doing this. I believe in the people who are in my trusted circle who said that they support what I'm doing and they believe in me. I know that she has a humongous advantage and that this district is very Democratic leaning. However, we can't just sit back and allow for no change. We can't have people discriminating against Jewish people. We can't have people being anti-American against our troops, our president. They won't even say his name. They say the individual in the office, and that's not respectful.
Are you looking at any ways to combat child sex trafficking in that district?
Yes.
Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
I do support the border wall, but I feel like that's just one way that we're going to start with this. I also feel like we need to be taking action because, for example, social media. I think all of you are on social media. And they say that you have to be 13 years old to be on social media. But when they're on social media, it doesn't have any type of barrier. There's people posting porn and nudity on social media. exposing our children to that. And somebody had said a different letter of this LGBTQ community, and I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up on Google to find it out because I wanted to know. And it was websites. All the first page of Google was websites for children to explain LGBTQ, all of that to our children that are under 10 years old, and that concerned me. And I believe that we need to protect our children. And when I was younger, we were allowed to go play in the neighborhood, and people didn't worry because everybody would look out for the children, even if they weren't related to you. You could play outside until it was dark outside and you would be safe. Now we have children who are victims of sex trafficking and being sold and growing up in a horrible life because of that, and we have children that just go missing. I don't understand, how do we have children go missing when we're in this information age where everybody has technology? We have cameras, we have phones with cameras. How do so many kids go missing? It concerns me. And I admit I don't know everything, but that's why I need to be having these conversations with everybody, because I've met some really great people since announcing, and I'm looking forward to meeting even more great people. I know I'm going to meet some bad people, but it's when I'm going through the bad times that I remember special conversations I have with each of you and other people that's like, you have a focus. We can do this.
Sure.
And my little girl thinks I can do it, so.
Good.
Her support matters too.
Well, thank you for answering all these questions and staying longer than the two TV people did, but so thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. You good back there, Papa?
I'm good.
Okay.